Hi, my name is Trevor Fall. I've been an IELTS instructor since 2007, and let's talk today and the IELTS Speaking Challenge Day 3 about Part 3 and some strategies and what the focus is for this part of the exam. So if we look at the uh, parts, so in Part 1, we talked about it's more small talk, quick, simple areas that you should be able to answer or speak about fairly smoothly. So when students are stumbling or hesitating in Part 1, I know that their score is going to be lower, maybe a CLB, an IELTS band 4.5, maybe a 5. But if they can confidently go through Part 1 and then they go through Part 2, then Part 3 is where we're really challenging and pushing your speaking ability, because we're asking harder questions, questions that are more analytical, that you have to think a little bit more about, and having you express your opinion or to describe or explain about something. So as you can see here, we want to be answering these longer questions. I have here 3 to 5 sentences. Maybe you maybe have 6 to 8 sentences, but similar to Part 1, you don't want to be too short with just 1 or 2 answers, but you don't want to be too long either, where you're just talking on and on and on, because then you can lose focus and you can also start to talk about other topics which may not be related. So in this, again, I advise you, when you're practicing, take some time to look at a question and then write down some sentences. How would you answer that question? Practice recording yourself and then listen to your recording, whether it's an audio or video recording, just so that you're getting in a sense of what are we as examiners hearing from that. So if we look at some of these questions, you'll see that they are much more advanced than in Part 1 and Part 2. So here's some common questions. What types of people are respected most in your society? Do you agree with that? So, common answers for this are about doctors or lawyers, maybe artists or celebrities, although they might be popular, but are they respected? And, that's a topic that can be questioned or talked about. What happens when young people lack good role models? And here I have I hear a lot of answers where, well, it's just not good, or they don't do good. But this is where we want to identify and focus in a paragraph, as I've talked about. Well, so there are 2 things that happen when we don't have good role models. The first is that children don't have a sense of purpose, and so they just do many different things, but they're sometimes confused or they're sometimes lazy. The second is they don't learn how to treat others around them with respect, because a good role model hasn't poured into their life and treated them with respect and shown them and corrected them when there's been times when they haven't been respectful. So those are the 2 things that happen when teens or children lack good role models. So you can see with that answer, like I have an idea, I have a first part, a second part, and then I have basically an ending. So I often have students say to me, well, Mr. Trevor, we can't think like that. Like, you're thinking so quickly and we're not thinking in that way. But that's why I encourage you to be practicing, where you take a question, write it up in a paragraph format, practice it, speak about it, then take another question. And you need to balance spontaneous, just seeing a question for the first time and answering it, but also taking some time to sit down, write out your answer, and then read or memorize parts of that answer. And the reason is that this will create that discipline in you to make it easier to have that framework. Main idea, main topic, first idea, what's a specific example? Second idea, what's another example or 2 examples? And then a summary. Maybe questions might be, and this might be easier for some, but harder for some. Is it easy to travel around your country? What method is safe? Has travel become safer? What's the pros? So positives and cons, negatives of low-cost air travel. How do you think people will travel in the future? So as you can see, more advanced topics, there's lots here that you can talk about, but we're not expecting you to talk for 7 or 8 or 10 minutes on one question. Yeah, you would probably say, again, that 3, 5, 7 sentences, maybe about 1 or 2 minutes. maybe 3 minutes, and then we switch to another topic. So day 3 of the challenge, I encourage you to look at some of these, take 1 or 2 questions, and then explain your answers, record it, upload it, let us hear what your response is, and then we'll get ready because we're going to move into day 4.